Welcome to the first episode of Witch Shit and Manga Lit with Rawiyah and Cartabus. This is going to be our first episode, so please excuse the clunkiness as we go along and get our bearing. This week we're going to be talking about Hana Yori Dango, or Boys Over Flowers. And just a little bit of a trigger warning, we will be talking about some non-consensual stuff that happens within this manga and also within romance things in general. So with that out of the way, please enjoy the first episode, and we look forward to coming at you with more content that's both witchy and geeky. All right. Now I don't know what to say. What's our name?
We're here going with witchy shit and manga lit for our first episode.
Our first episode.
I am Cartabus.
And I am Rawiyah.
And we're besties. Deal with it.
We're besties. Yeah. We're also queer, non-binary, witches. I myself am fat and black and neurodivergent and disabled. So I will be speaking a lot about a lot of like witchy shit and geeky shit, but also coming from those demographics. Not a monolith, not speaking for, but this is definitely like where my lens has been focused. So
well, it's your lived in experience. You can't really get away from how you function as a human.
Yeah.
Right?
Cannot.
Yeah.
Even though some people are like in witchy community, I found in particular, they're like, leave your differences at the door. We're all human. And I'm like, want to punch people in the throat because of that.
I will say 1000% that the way that I practice my witchy stuff is like 1,000,000% informed by the fact that I have ADHD. I don't think I would do half the shit I do if I wasn't like completely in a different zone 90% of the time.
Mm-hmm.
It's why I have to concentrate when I'm driving so I don't spontaneously cast and blow up a car again by accident, like that one time.
Again.
I remember telling you about that, and you're like, that is spontaneous casting. You need to be careful. And I'm like, oh, yeah, that's a good point.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's scary.
Yeah, so it is scary. It is scary. One time there was this girl who stole something from me, and I was like, give it back or something's going to happen. And she was like, what's going to happen? And then I was like, something's going to happen. I don't know what's going to happen, but something's going to happen. And this was at a point in my life where I was very aware that my mom had basically like cast a death curse on this dude. Like she, like he had,
Wow.
yeah, she didn't realize that she had done it in the moment, but like a month later after he cheated her out of a bunch of money, he was dead. And she was like, give me my money back or something's going to happen. And he was like, whatever, nothing's going to happen. And she's like, you screwed us over and, and something's going to happen. And he was like, whatever. And then a month later, he was dead. So with this bitch, my mom was like, oops. with this bitch, like I was like, give it back or something's going to happen. And that day, as she was leaving school, because we were at this summer camp for mathletes, kind of like, or was it chemistry? I think it was chemistry at Xavier University. That's it, Xavier University. It's an HBU. And we were there during the summer as kids, taking a college chemistry course. And that's a whole different kind of magic. But yeah, like right as she was leaving school, we heard crunch. That bitch got in a car accident and broke her leg.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I was like, I hope it's worth it, bash. So yeah.
So like something that I saw the other day that like made me pause for a second was basically like, even if you don't cast something negative towards somebody, that doesn't mean your spirits aren't gonna. You can be like, I forgive you and I'm not gonna do anything, but your spirits can be like, yeah, that bitch is gonna rot in hell forever. I will
Yeah,
make sure of
yeah.
it. So
Ancestor
you
rolled
don't
through with
know.
a machete
Right?
constantly. So I've tried not to do such things anymore. But I have to be careful because I have a lot of feeling.
Yes.
I have all the feelings. And sometimes my feelings are like, I feel like I want to throat punch someone. So I have to like not just like rein myself in, but I do have to sometimes, like, you're right. Like, your ancestors, your spirits will be like, oh, fuck, now you've been disrespected and that. And
Yeah.
by extension, you disrespected me. And so we're going to get this other person all the way to fuck together. Um, so sometimes I do have to tell spirit to stand down. Often I don't because I'm like, that's their business.
Well, I mean, yeah, and if somebody played the fuck around and find out game, it's kind of on them for having
Yeah.
to deal with the consequences of their actions.
Play stupid games, win stupid prizes.
Yeah, so I
Yeah.
just I consciously try to keep my emotions under, like, I'm generally very chill, like, to the point of it being a problem in some cases. Where
Mhm.
people are like, why aren't you more upset? I'm like, because I don't, I kind of ran out of fucks 5 years ago and I forgot to go get more at the store.
Oh my god, speaking of fucks, like, I just got the book, The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck, because you're gonna read it, so we're gonna read it together by
Yeah.
by Mark Hansen, and I
Yeah.
also got Ikigai, which I think you also recommended.
Yeah. Ikigai, it's like an art of being mindful, a way
Mhm,
of living. It's a Japanese practice, essentially.
mhm. I'm excited to read it. I feel like I'm trying to do that with my life, like, align my spirituality with my money, with my, like,
Hmm.
practices is what I do to generate income and what I do to generate peace. I'm trying to make it all match up. And I think it's awesome when we can match it up, but there's also this whole thing that kind of makes it harder to do. And I think that kind of comes from Western society where it's like you can't be happy with your job. Like, your job is to suffer and then you have hobbies and likes outside of your job to make your life bearable. But if I could make my life bearable the entire time, like more than bearable, but
Why
fucking
wouldn't
lovely, then
you?
why not? Yeah, why
Yeah.
wouldn't you?
And
Why
that's
wouldn't you?
beautiful. That's why, like, even though my current job is not the greatest job in the world, it is actually perfect for me at this time, because literally my job is just to show up and know shit. And I am very good at showing up and knowing shit. So it's
Mm-hmm. You
been
are.
pretty great. And I get praise all the time, and I'm like, I just showed up and knew shit. I didn't really do anything
Hmm.
fancy. They're like, no, oh my God, your breadth of knowledge, this and that. And I'm like, oh, okay, cool.
No, it's super cool when you're like an expert in your field. It's like magic when you're not. So when you're doing your job and you're proficient in your work and you're able to give out that information. And one thing I will say about you, you have a lot of information to give because you have your fingers in like so many pots. But enjoyable pots. Like, you're not doing anything that you really, really detest. And you have this like ability to absorb things and then give them back out, but not in a way that involves any kind of arrogance. You're totally like,
I
this is
think
cool,
it's
let me show it to
because
you.
I don't put a value towards knowledge. So that's why, like, I share everything I know freely because I got everything I know freely. Do you know
Hmm.
what I'm saying? Like, even
Yes.
things that I paid for in a class, it's stuff that, even though, again, it's paid for, it's still stuff that I would give away instantly. Like, if
Hmm.
anybody asked me about like illustration stuff, I have a degree in art. instead of being like, no, I'm going to, gatekeep this knowledge that I gained from school, I'm going to be like, yeah, your line work's a little bit sloppy here. If you tighten up here, you're going to be aces. And I really love your color work. I like talking to people about their art and encouraging them in the places that they're actually, that I feel like they're really good at. I know that in some cases, like some artists are really, really, really gatekeeping about that sort of thing, where they're going to be like, putting other artists down because they feel bad because the other person is better than them in some way. And I've never understood that, because for me, if someone else is good at art, that's more good art I get to look at.
Mhm.
So if somebody wants to make art and I can see their passion in the way that they do things, and I can see where their talents may lie in a way that they don't, I'm going to tell
Mhm.
them. I'm going to be like, hey, I think you're going to be really good at this specific thing. If you push it, do that. Do that. I want to see that. I want to see that with
Yeah.
my eyeballs. Give it to my face holes, because that is just how I am as a person. And I'm like that with knowledge too, like anything that I know. And like I get like, I start talking too much when it's stuff that I like, because I can't help it. It's stuff that I like. I want to talk about that stuff. I want to know your opinion about the thing that I like. So I'm going to tell you all about the thing that I like, because I eventually want you to like it so that we can talk about the thing that I like.
I think that's how I got into, like, quite a few things when our friendship, like, started. DJ Regular, like, reminded me that it was, like, 15 fucking years ago. I was more like
Do you know how long I've known him?
How
I've
long have
known
you known him?
I have known him for 22, 21 years.
Oh my
I've known him
god.
a whole ass adult, okay? Our relationship is of drinking age. That is that is intense, because we met in 2001, around then when I started college.
Mhm.
So we met like that first semester that I was in college,
Mhm.
and just immediately became friends.
Oh my gosh, I realize what we're doing. Like, what we're doing naturally and authentically right now in this moment. Our first episode, we are gonna talk about a manga that we're reading that, like, I don't think we can
Oh, we
actually
need to
really
talk about it.
really
I actually have some serious hot takes that I've been thinking about in the shower. I have to tell you about it. Oh my God. Anyway, continue.
But we're also doing, like, kind of like an introduction, getting to know us and who's going to be speaking to you, but that can also happen organically during the show. Yeah, so we've been together for 15 years as besties, and the kind of besties where we would hang out for like 6 hours and then call each other as soon as the other one got home.
Yes, yeah. Like we would spend entire weekends just at each other's house,
Mhm.
hanging out, watching stuff,
Mhm.
chatting nonstop, doing
Yeah.
magic. That was just how we
Yep.
rolled.
That's how we rolled. And I learned a lot of stuff from you. Like, I think I had just turned 26, going on 27. I just turned 27 or something like that. And I was like, life is falling apart. I don't know what the fuck is going on. Da, 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 da. And you just looked up at me and you said, or down at me because I was on the floor, you were on the couch. And you said, oh, that's just your Saturn return. I'm like, bitch, what? What Saturn what? And then you were like, here, it's in this book. Or you sent me a book or a link or something. And I was like, oh shit. This is exactly what's going on. And you're like, yeah, that
I
was it.
I legit do not remember that. My brain works funny though. So one of the most distinct memories I have is I remember that I went to Barnes and Noble to pick up some stuff for you because you were sick, and I got us some mint mocha coffees, and then I
Hmm.
spilled those all over my car. So my
Oh.
car smelled like mint mocha for like 3 weeks. And every time I got it, I'm like, oh yeah, I was going to their house. That was good.
And I was sick a lot when we knew each other because I wasn't doing
You
the
weren't taking care of
ikigai.
yourself.
Yeah, no, I was not taking care of myself.
You were running yourself into the ground.
I was working 2 jobs, one as a receptionist and the other one as a massage therapist. One was 40 hours a week, the other one I think I did 12 or 16 hours a week, because I
Mhm.
worked 3 shifts. And then the other thing I was doing was I was performing in San Francisco and Oakland while living in the South
Uh
Bay.
huh. Yeah.
So
No, literally, I remember starting reading runes, and every time I read for you, the only thing that would ever come out was Issa, because the universe was saying, slow the fuck down.
yeah,
Slow down.
we went to a Sade and I was like, "What's going on? What's going on? What's going on? When do I know? What's happening?" And the Sade was like, "Issa." Like she said it too. You were in the room too. And she was like, "Issa, like
Yeah. And
ice.
I
You need
remember
to
I just
stop."
stared at you like, mm, mm, okay.
Like, "What have I been telling you?"
Yeah.
But so I was constantly sick, but I'm not sure. Is that the time that I was sick with was it either bird flu or swine flu or one of
It
those
was
damn things?
swine flu. I remember because I had to take you to the hospital and read you African folk tales from a book from the library that I accidentally stole. Um,
Oh my
because
god.
I like immediately lost it and then went to the library and paid for it and then like I found it like 8 months later.
Oh wow. Yeah,
This
I
is
don't
why I
I
don't go to the
remember.
library anymore. I just bought
Yo, I
them.
just got the new Libby app. Well, not it's not
Hmm.
new, but it's an app where you can check out audiobooks and books and movies, I think, online from your local
Yeah.
libraries. And so I've done that because I've had to keep moving cities because of my because I kept not returning books to the library. So like I had a San Jose book card, and then I had a Santa Clara one, then I had a Saratoga one, and then I had a Campbell one.
You had all
Because
of them.
oh no, I was around. I went around. I was around. I was a problem. I would eventually return the books, like maybe 6 months, later. I was that asshole. Um,
Well,
but
what a
yeah, I remember.
librarian told me once was, while we don't mind
Hmm.
getting paid for the books, we would much rather have the books back, which always made me feel
Yes.
bad because I rarely accidentally stole books. But one time I did it on purpose, and it was at my school library in high school. They
Oh
had
my god.
a book called Old Angel Midnight, which is a Jack Kerouac poem collection
Mhm.
that I was obsessed with.
Mhm.
And I could not find it literally anywhere. I looked everywhere. And at the time, since it was like late 90s, it's not like Amazon existed or, half price online. So the only options I had were basically Barnes and Noble and Borders, and they didn't have anything. And Walden books, yes, ye old Walden books that no longer exist. My bones have just turned into dust and flown away.
Oh.
But yeah, none of them had the book. And I'm like, well, I don't want to not have this book. So I'm just going to pretend like it's lost. And I'm just
Mhm.
going to pay the library because apparently the library will not let you graduate if you have a book checked out.
What? I
Yeah.
mean they right, but also
Both correct and fuck that library.
and damn, that is ice cold. That is hardcore. I actually stole a book in 8th grade, and I can see it right now. It's called 31 Brothers and Sisters. And it was the first story I found was a fable, or a fiction piece that had a strong female lead who was my age around the time. So I think she was about like 12 or 11 or something like that, and also African. and it was amazing. So I took that book. I think I took it in like 7th or 8th grade, and it's still on my shelf right now. Um, my library is extensive. I have like almost 1,000 books in my library at this point in my life. I could see you being almost 1,000 books in too if you're not already.
So I know I am at least 200 physical books. I am well over 1,000 if we're counting ebooks though, and
Mhm,
audiobook. I have over
mhm,
200 audiobooks, actually 400 now. I'm bad. I'm very bad about keeping track of things, but I have at least 900
mhm,
digital books, uh, at least minimum nine. I'm just going to go minimum 900. And I
mhm,
have about, I'm going to estimate 400 scattered around the room that I am currently in right now. There
mhm,
are other books in the house that are not in this room, but they're probably under 100.
mhm. You
So
have a
I would
substantial
estimate my total
library.
library at about 2,000. Yeah,
Damn.
yeah, I have a problem.
That's a lot of wonderfulness.
Yeah, it's so funny. Like my friend posted this thing about like my my stack of my to be read list staring at me as I bring home another stack of new books, and I'm like, yeah, that's me, but my stack of manga staring at me when I download yet another app.
Oh my
Like
god.
I have at least 8 apps that I'm reading on as well,
Mhm,
that like I legit pay for. They're not like scraper apps or anything like that. These are, I give them money to read things,
mhm.
and I don't always like the subscription ones. I'm just like, oh, these are free. I don't need to worry about them. I'm just paying $5 a month to not read them. It's like
But
I'm
they're
paying,
there just in
oh,
case, just in
just
case.
in case. Like there's only like 4 or 5 that I'm reading on that one. I'm like, well, I like
Mhm,
binging, so like I'll just leave them to sit for a bit. I don't need to get them right away. The other ones I do need to get right away because I will legit forget they exist because I'm reading something like
mhm.
700 comics at once. It's bad. I think at least 200 comics I'm reading on Tapas alone. I'm reading another 50 on
Wow.
Tappy Tunes. I'm reading at least 20 on Webtoons. I also have Pocket Comics and Manta and uh, Tumic, and I just got Adzuki and Viz. And Viz is going to be a friggin' problem for me because it,
So I think Viz and Shonen Jump are doing some kind of thing with their billing where it's gonna all be through Shonen Jump or something. I'm not sure. But I have to sign up with a whole new account because my Viz account got canceled and there's like no way to uncancel it. So I'm hoping that it's something to do with the Shonen Jump Viz like consummated relationship or some shit like that. At least I hope because you turned me on to Viz and it's now a problem for me too.
I am nothing if not an enabler of content. So I will make it your fault. I swear. So the friend who cued me into Viz, he's in Australia. So like
Mhm.
at what he what at, I joined up to the Viz app at a time when he was like passed the fuck out of sleep because it's a 12-hour difference, right?
Mhm.
And I literally spammed the shit out of him, yelling at him for showing me the fucking app. I was like, oh,
Mhm.
great, I'm never sleeping again. It's all your fault. And he literally messaged me saying, so I woke up to all of these messages and I have to say, completely worth it. Please continue yelling at me about this. Because
Well, I
apparently me yelling is very amusing. I don't know.
it is amusing. And also like you like had me lose sleep because I could not sleep after watching Hana Yori Dango. Like I was just reading it. I think it took me 2.5 days to get through it because I'm like, I'm gonna absorb all of this and it has 236 or something chapters like that. Yeah, so let's
If we,
Let's talk about that train wreck. It's
Jesus,
a
this
classic train wreck.
absolute dumpster fire that is the archetype for all other dumpster fires that have come since. Um, so something I realized, and this is what I was like, hot take on Hana Yori Dango. Um, it is not a romance.
Wait, what?
Hear me out. So for me, romance needs to have two main elements. One element is the plot of the story revolves around the relationship between the main pairing. Two, it has to actually be romantic. So
Oh.
Hana Yori Dango is not a romance. It is a drama slash soap opera slash makjang. It is not a romance
Oh my
because
god.
the
It was not romantic.
at all. Yeah, no,
It was traumatic.
the bare minimum for the romance in my mind for the genre is there cannot be assault, there
Yeah.
cannot be any kind of like trauma or rape, especially between the main pairing. And like they just throw all of that out the window by session 2 with this comic. Literally.
You're
Literally. He
right.
just
You're right.
immediately runs out the gate with like, yeah, let's
Let's
harm her
assault.
immediately.
Let's assault her. Let's assault her. Let me pay some dudes to assault her at school. You are right.
And I
Yeah.
also realized that the makajangness of it is only in the manga because the actual K
Mm.
drama
Now
tones
explain
down.
that term. Explain
Okay,
that term.
so makjang is a kind of Korean drama thing that basically it happens with a lot of the soap operas, but basically the idea is to make it as shocking as possible by putting as many shocking elements in as you can. So like
Ooh.
the more mockjang it is, the less believable it is as a story, which makes it
Mhm.
very entertaining. So that's like my new kind of I want to find more mockjangs because I enjoy ridiculousness as a concept.
Yeah.
But like I
Yeah.
realized that while Hana Yori Dango absolutely is that, the K drama is not because they tone it down enough so that for me it is less shocking. It's like if Domyoji Tsukasa is a friggin' tiger, uh Gyujin Pyo is like a bobcat at best.
You're right.
He
You're
has
right.
claws, but his claws aren't as sharp.
Yes.
He has claws, but he's not trying to murder a bitch. Let's put it that way.
Yes. You're right. Oh my god. I can the whole thing is like I love how you were like, "Now I like this, but I can't recommend it." And then you tell me what it is anyway, because then I go actively seek it out.
Yeah.
The more you're like, "I can't recommend this," the more I'm like, "I have got to see it. I've got to see it. I've got to read it. I've got to hold it and let it dissolve into my spirit." Um, and so, yeah, so I feel like this is one of those where it's like, I read it, but I can't I can't recommend it because it is so stressful.
Like, oh my god, like the trauma. And what is hilarious to me, like if you start watching the anime, because I remember when we first started talking about this, I had started watching the anime because I was just binging anime at the time and I was finding the most ridiculous shit I could find. And I came across this and I'm like, this is a classic. I'll watch a classic because like this has been around forever. This is an early 90s. Let's get into some nostalgia here. And after watching like 3 episodes, I was like, what the fuck is this? this is this is not what I was expecting on any level. So
No,
I was
not at
talking to
all.
you about it and how ridiculous it was, and you were like, "That's just like a K, like it's the exact same thing as this K drama I love." And I was like, "Wait, it's a K drama?" And you were like, "Yeah, it's a
Mhm.
K drama." I didn't know it was an anime, and I'm like, "Oh my god, I bet the anime came first." So we started talking about like how it was different and stuff, but
Mhm.
like. I remember when I told you that they dragged her ass behind a car, you were like, they did fucking what?
Yeah, because I realized realized that each regeneration of this drama, um, they
They like
they
defame it a
tone
little
it
bit.
down. They tone it down. They do, because I think Boys Over Flowers was, they did not have the dragging behind the car sequence at all, even though it was in the anime. And then you have Meteor Garden, which, let me look up and see if that is, I think that's like a Chinese version of it.
I think it's
Um,
Taiwanese.
Taiwanese? Is that the
Yeah.
Taiwanese version?
No, actually, that one's the mainland China. The Taiwanese version was the 2000 one, which was
Mhm.
before Boys Over Flowers, which was 2005. And then
Yeah,
the
and then came
2018
Meteor Garden.
one was the Chinese version. But that one was a remake of the Taiwanese version because the name, the like Dao Mingxi, is still the same for the main guy.
Okay.
Um, so, but yeah,
Yeah.
I I'm
That was my
probably
gateway.
I I want to watch this one now because they're super cute, and now that I know that it's not as traumatic, but like literally when they, you're gonna see when you're rewatching the anime after reading the manga that they basically took everything in the manga, but then like cut out all the meet cute stuff. They were like, we
Mhm.
don't need any of this fluff, just drama and trauma. That's all you get.
Drama and trauma. Yeah, I can't wait to watch the anime. It feels like my way in was like, "Oh, it's soft." And then it's like, "Oh, that's kind of fucked up. Oh, wait, that's fucked up. Oh, this version is all the way fucked up." So having read the original source material, I'm like, it's because for me, seeing those scenes redone in the anime, seeing those scenes redone in the manga, or seeing the scenes that were redone from the manga, I was like, "Oh shit!" One of the things that did bring me back to nostalgia, though, was the pager situation, where it was like,
Yeah.
"I'm giving you a pager," and I remember being young,
Yes.
like, "Who needs a pager?" And it was like drug dealers and doctors who needed pagers, and I just thought, pagers are so cute. Like, that he gave her a pager. Like, I'm like, "Oh, that's so cute. He gave her a pager so he could reach her." But then I'm also like, he gave her a pager to be controlling. It's like,
Yeah.
so he can like have her whenever he wanted her. It's very Edward Cullens of him to.
Like there is nothing, pretty much nothing that does not involve coercion in their relationship. And that's the other reason why I'm like, this is not a romance. And like
Mhm.
I will like die on this hill with people that are like, oh, all of these. I am very specific about my genres, and it has to involve those two things. Like all those otome animes I watch, not romance, they're otome animes. they're they have romantic elements, but just because something has a romantic elements does not make it a romance manga
I
or a
think we
romance
could
anime.
use that for life, right?
Yeah,
Just for life. Just because I remember one time this guy was romantic in bed, but then outside of bed, he was like a total asshole. And I remember being like, "Oh, he's so romantic in bed." And it was you or someone else that was like, "Maybe you're mistaking romance for vanilla sex."
oh man.
Just
I
because you're not getting
mean,
choked by this one doesn't mean that it's
yeah,
romance.
it doesn't mean that it's romance. I
Yeah.
do feel like your bar it has been quite low in terms of uh partner affection meter.
Oh my god, it is. I'm like, they looked at me like I was hot, and then it's over for me. Yeah, that's pretty sad.
Yeah, yeah.
I demand more now. So
Good.
yeah. Just because it has elements of romance doesn't mean it's romance, y'all.
Yeah. And like,
Um,
and the other one that I will fight on is Oron Host Club is not romance.
no, I never thought of that as, people think of that as romance?
Yes. They're like, oh, it's so cute. I'm like, no, it's an ensemble comedy. It's not romance.
You know what though? I'm adding it to see if it's on the Viz. Oh, I think it is on Viz, but you have to
You have to
buy.
buy it. Yeah. It's one of those.
Ah,
I'm
damn it.
probably going to shell out money for Yona of the Dawn because I really, really liked the anime and I feel
Mhm.
jaded that they just shut it off. They shut it off because, it's shoujo and they hate shoujo. But like the thing is, like even though shojo is kind of limited in what we can watch, it's basically just magical girls or drama.
Mhm.
Um, I will still stay in it as a genre because I love it so much.
Mm.
Though my friend was showing me her list of manga that she was reading, and she's like, "So this one, um, yeah, this one ended up being really problematic." Recommendation. She's like, "So this one started really cute, but then it got weird. I didn't really like it after a bit because she was obsessed with like vampire stories, and like 90% of the time, the vampire stories are going to turn um fucking weird, for lack of a better way to say it.
Mhm.
Like I have had multiple people tell me because I tell them how much I enjoyed the absolute just fuck shit that was Vampire Night. One of my friends like, yeah, my sister was reading it, but then when she realized who the actual male lead was, she like literally threw the manga across the room and said she's never touching it again. And I was like, eh,
Yo,
fair. That's fair.
I've had I've had that reaction. Like I was watching Wheel of Time.
Mm.
Just started watching Wheel of Time. I've been told not to read the books by several people to just like
Honestly, you can. The books aren't terrible. Just fully understand that Rand is far more annoying. Like he's just
listen.
problem.
Look, I just from watching the show, I was like, he better not be the main character. He better not be the main character. He better not be
Hmm.
the main character. He better not be the main character. And then he's like, he's the main character. I'm like,
Yep. 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 Yeah.
fuck,
So
fuck, fuck.
I read 13 of those fuckers too, but it was entirely because of
Wow.
the side characters. Because Nynaeve is amazing, because
Mhm.
Moiraine is amazing, because literally every woman in the book is amazing. And then you have this fucking toenail who runs the show. And I'm like, just ignore the toenail and go with the rest of the series and you'll be fine. Just ignore any part that
But
involves
I'll get
Rand.
I'll get mad every part that he shows up. Just like I got mad with the magicians. It was have you seen Magicians?
Yeah.
Not Elliot. We loved Elliot. It was see, I even erased his name out
Let
of
me
my
figure it out. I
fucking
think I know who
head.
you're talking about, though.
Yeah, he was awful, he was annoying, he's like, "I wanna do magic, and now I have magic, and it didn't make life any better." Um, he was
Quentin.
just oh, Quentin,
Quentin.
oh,
Yeah.
fucking Quentin. Fucking Quentin. He was, like, supposed to be the V of it, that the spoke in the wheel that connected everybody else, and he was just a fucking baby, like, he was awful, self-centered, he would respond to any kind of judgment or critique with, "I'm the most horrible person in the world,
Yeah.
and I deserve to die," and I'm like, "You're right." So, like
This is what
like, it
happens when they make emo fuckboys the main character. It in both situations, it's the same. Seriously, Rand is the most emo fuckboy I've ever seen in my life, and I just want to yeet him through a window.
you
It's
know
real
what that
bad.
used to be? I think I get mad at them because that used to be my type.
Oh,
Remember?
I'm sorry. Yeah, no, it totally
Yeah,
was your
that
type.
used to be my I would date these emo, fuckboys for, like last one was for almost a decade.
Yeah.
Yeah, sad times.
Sad times at Ridgemont
Sad
High. The depressed emo version of the movie.
Oh my god. Yeah, I even have to stop myself today where I'm like, he looks cute," and it's like, "Is it because he's an emo sad boy?" And it's like, "Yes. Show me in your soul where the emo sad boy has hurt you," and it's like the whole thing.
So I realized that the reason why I am in love with all of the characters that are himbos in any show is not because that's my type, because my type is very specifically nerd. I have discovered this.
Oh, nice.
not 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 gender specific, just nerd. I like nerds.
Mhm.
I am obsessed with himbos because it's me. I am I am
Oh.
I am an intelligent dumbass. Like I am very
Oh
very
my god.
smart when it comes to very specific things, but I am a complete fuckwit when it comes to literally anything else. So like I will run into walls and like trip over myself and burn myself and forget to eat for hours at a time because I'm too busy reading. That kind of thing, you know. And himbos are obsessed with one thing that they are good at and know literally nothing else. Absolutely not, except simping. And I am very good at simping. So,
Oh, I'm watching one right now, Otome, that you recommended called Queen's Choice.
oh, you're watching that one?
Yeah.
Do you like Business Daddy? Business Daddy's my favorite.
Business Daddy is amazing, but I'm kind of into King Daddy, who's like, I will break you gently. Was it gently or slowly or one of those?
King Daddy.
The one with the purple hair, the one who's a masochist.
What? How did I forget him? He I think maybe because he wasn't my favorite, but like literally because I block out anyone who's not my favorite. Like so an idiot. I'm just like the only one I
Yeah,
can remember is the one I like.
I'm into to Kink Daddy. Also we're gonna see what happens with Brother Daddy. The one with the red hair, who's her stepbrother who came back to like protect her. Um like he's exercising everything.
N-
Him, the
n-
one with the red hair.
none of them have red hair. None of them.
Oh my god, am I watching a whole different show from the one you recommended?
No, you're talking about Dance with Devils.
Oh shit. Oh
I
shit.
still knew what you
So
were talking about, but yes, you're correct.
I'm
In that
not
one,
watching Queen's Choice. I'm
there
watching Dance with
I was
Devils.
gonna say there is no business daddy in Dance with Devils.
Oh my god, I thought the main guy was Business Daddy. I thought that's who
No,
you were referring to
Rem
because he
is the
takes care of
prince.
business.
Rem is the OG
He
OG-san.
he
Yeah,
is a prince.
he's the
He is a
prince.
prince.
No, in that one, the himbo is clearly my favorite. Are you kidding?
Mhm. Mhm.
But I totally get why the fallen angel is yours.
Mhm. Mhm.
I actually had that pegged because remember how I told you? I was like,
Yes.
yeah, he gets whipped by the fuckboy at one point and moans about liking it. And you're like, I'm watching this show right now.
Yep. 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 He's my dream. He's my dream. Um so yeah, so we have our like fingers in a lot of animes and stuff right now, and that'll all come out throughout the seasons of the show and episodes of the show. What we're geeking out over right now. I just keep looking while we're talking, and I remember whenever I talk to you, I remember, oh, I have books to read. Every time I talk to you, I'm like, oh my god, my fucking books that are collecting dust. Um, but I cleaned off my nightstand so I can have my books here. So I guess my question for you is, what's on your reading list right now?
Okay. So my reading list right now is I'm going to finish Freakonomics for work. I have all of the Viz manga that we're reading. I need to finish Hana Yori Dango to catch up with you. I have this book, which is a series of BL called Twittering Birds Never Fly.
Mhm.
And it's like a Yakuza story. And it
Really?
involves some pretty heavy kink stuff and I can't recommend it to most people. but to you, I can recommend it because I
Oh
think
my
you would
god.
actually like it a lot.
I'm gonna read
But
the shit out of that. What is it called again?
it's called Twittering Birds Never Fly. And like this is the main guy,
Uh-huh.
and he's like a mob boss, but he became a mob boss almost on accident. He like didn't really want to be one. But like look it up right now. Look up issue
Okay.
1 right now and look at the cover and tell me that you're not going to read it immediately because you will be lying
Okay.
if you say no.
And it's called Twittering Birds Don't Fly.
Twittering Birds Never Fly. Correct.
Never fly.
It's
Okay.
by Ko Yoneda. I knew it.
Woo! Woo!
So, like, I
Woo!
hadn't recommended it to you beforehand because it has some serious problematic shit in it, but at the same time, I know that you really like that kind of thing. So, I should have just
Oh my god.
recommended it immediately.
Oh my god. This makes me
Mm,
definitely want to read it.
mm-hmm,
This makes
mm,
Okay, so I have to say like the it's so the content that I absorb sometimes is definitely wild and does not always align with my political and life beliefs.
yes, I
And
agree.
sometimes I feel bad about that because I'm reading shit sometimes and I'm like, consent you asshole. And then at the same time, I'm like, if he would have like or she would have or they would have like grabbed me by my hair and flung me onto the bed,
Mm-hmm.
it's going down with the
So,
thunder.
I also agree with you in that I think it's important when consuming content to understand when it has problematic elements. And
Mhm.
it's okay to still enjoy something that has problematic elements as long as you know full well this has some problematic elements.
Oh my god.
Um, and like I have an entire thing that I want to talk about involving BL at some point. We don't need to get into it today because today was about Hana Yori Dango, which we need to get back into. Um, but um, but yeah, like there are definitely some problematic elements in this book, but there are more things that you will like to it than not, I think.
Listen, the cover of the book has him. For anyone who hasn't looked it up at this point, the cover of the book has him on his knees with his hands behind his back, someone stepping on his feet while he's kissing the other foot. Like
Yeah.
it is it
It's
is
a whole
something I
thing.
like to see. It is
Um
something I like to see.
and then the other thing that I'm going to get into is an actual book. It's more of a
Mhm.
light novel because there's pictures, but it is the novelization of Heaven Official's Blessing. Yes.
Nice.
I'm very excited because I got to the end of season 1 and I'm like, where is season 2? I know it's out, but it's not on Netflix yet. I
Oh
need to see
wait, you
it.
suggested that one to me and you were like, "It's cute." And then the first episode
And then the first episode's like
Tommy.
zombies and shit.
And I'm
Look,
like, "I should have known. I should have known."
I
Carta
was
said it
like,
was cute.
you know me. You know who I am as a person. And I'm like, this is lighthearted. It's gonna be fine. And immediately turns into drama. I'm
Mhm.
sorry. But what I meant was it wasn't gonna make you anxious about things, because it didn't. It's just not
It did not.
it's just a little violent. That's all.
It
It's
was
just
a
a
little
little violent
violent.
as a treat.
It was a
It's
little
kind of like
violent.
so like Hana Yori Dango gives me anxiety, but like Chainsaw Man doesn't. That's not saying Chainsaw Man is like innocent and fluffy,
Hmm.
but like in terms of how it makes me feel, it kind of is innocent and fluffy.
You know what? You're right about that. Like I finished watching Chainsaw Man. I'm now reading Chainsaw Man via Viz.
It's so
Um
good. Oh my god, the manga is amazing. Anyway,
Yeah, the artwork's gorgeous. I just started. I'm reading that and reading Airy, what is it called?
Goodbye, Eri.
Airy Goodbye Airy. Reading that. That might give me some anxiety later on.
That one
But
gave me
Chainsaw Man did not.
depression.
Oh, did it? Oh shit, I'm definitely bumping it up on my list. That's what I'm gonna be reading today then.
Yeah, that one and
Uh,
Look Back, like I binged the crap out of those because I could not stop reading them, and
mhm.
it just made me super sad. And I was like, this is scratching an itch that I didn't know I had. And it also told me that the guy that writes Chainsaw Man has so much nuance to what he's doing that I was like, the anime can't be capturing all this nuance, which is why I had to read the manga. And I was
Mhm.
correct. The manga has a different flavor than the anime. Now,
Mm.
the anime captures it really well. I'm not going to say it doesn't. The anime does a bang up job. It does really, really good. It's just there is a different concentration on how it's being portrayed in the manga. For me, it was more obvious that Denji was literally a devil. Like he's not
Mhm.
a person anymore. And they make it in the show, they make it seem more like he's just a simple person who is easy to manipulate. But in the comic, you're seeing the inner workings of Denji as well. And you see that when he makes the contract with Pochita, that basically Pochita says, I'm going to become your heart and you're going to give me your dreams. So Denji has to work on his id, like he's completely id because he's contractually obligated to be that way.
Mhm.
And the fact that that is so obvious in the manga and it's not obvious in the
Mhm.
anime is a huge difference that changes the tone in how you view Denji.
Yes, it
Because,
does.
and also the design work, I feel like they aged him up in the anime a little bit. Because in the
Mm.
comic, it is very clear he is super young, straight from the get.
Yeah, I think in the anime they aged him so that you can, at least in looks, because people do call him a kid sometimes, but he doesn't look like a kid at all.
Yeah.
So I think they aged him because they wanted the violence that was he was participating in, or that was being acted against him, would be hard for people to digest overall for someone so young, because he's basically like a teenager, right? He's
Yeah,
still a
he's
teenager, right?
16. He says
Yeah.
he thinks he's 16. In my mind though, he's closer to 15 probably.
Mhm.
So, but yeah, like and it makes it obvious in the manga that yeah, he's a kid. And
Mhm.
after he visits Aki in the hospital that one time,
Mhm.
he's thinking in his head, I should be sad right now, but I'm not.
Mhm.
Why am I not sad? Is it that Pochita literally took my human heart and I'm a devil now? Oh well, doesn't matter. Runs away
Mhm.
because like
Mhm.
he doesn't have the capacity to process that emotionally because his heart's not there. And that
Yeah.
just like knowing that I'm like, holy shit.
But there's
This
a
is
level of
amazing.
consciousness.
Yeah.
There's a level of consciousness. There's a level of awareness that he has, at
Yeah.
least for a moment where he's like, this is a thing because it's not a thing.
Oh well.
And yeah.
But like he doesn't have the capacity to actually think more
Mhm.
on it because it's not part of fulfilling his dreams. Him being aware of the
Mhm.
fact that he's a devil isn't part of him fulfilling his dreams, so it's not important.
Mhm.
He's literally
Mhm.
being robotically trained to only do things that will give him pleasure because that is his dream, is to just live a simple life that's full of pleasure.
Yeah. And his pleasures are actually very, very simple, like,
Yeah.
because he didn't have much at all to begin with. So, like, having a home to live in and having food, like, I love his love of food. Like, I love
Yes.
his love of food. He's like, "I'm gonna eat this. This is delicious."
And Aki's like, "What is wrong
Um,
with you?" And he's like, "Shut up! It's my toast. You don't get any."
my reading list, going back to reading list, my reading list is, Dactyl Hill Squad, which is written by, Daniel Jose Older, and it is a kid's book, but it takes place during the Civil War and there's dinosaurs. Which I like, can we just briefly, like, kids books are getting intense. I think that's kids books and young adult books are getting very, very fucking intense. Like, I'm reading them having anxiety. Like, I put down Dr. Hill Squad twice because it was stressing me out. The other book I'm reading is by David B. Feinberg called Queer and Loathing, and that's about a guy who is dying of AIDS during the late 18 it is not 1800s. It is 1980s, early 1990s, I believe. I'm holding off on the subtle art of not giving a fuck because we're reading that together. And then for soul and political and identity growth, I'm reading Diverse Bodies and Diverse Practices. And then I'm reading something called the Threadbound series, which goes with a tarot card deck called the Threadbound Oracle.
I got that.
You
I
did?
think
Did
you
you get
got
that as
it.
a Kickstarter or did you get
Mm,
it?
I think you got it for me, actually.
I might have. It's a good deck.
Yeah,
I might have sent you that deck.
I think you did. And it had the book with it.
Mm.
Or I got it when we talked about it. In either case, I have it somewhere. So I will read that as well. You feel like a complete intellectual, and meanwhile, I'm over here like I'm reading this kinky BL and this light novel.
No, look,
Look, I
I'm
fully
reading
understand my capacity right now.
I'm reading the Dactyl Hill Squad because my housemate and family member, which you'll hear me refer to often, Bertha the Boss Pearl, was like, "Here, you should read this." And we're reading Queer and Loathing because my editor is like, I'm like, how do I write about being sick when I'm so sick? Or how do I write about almost dying when I'm still in the trauma of almost dying? And she was like, here, read this book. Um, so I've been reading that. And sometimes it makes me mad because he's he's dying and he has a certain kind of language that he's using, and he's gay, but he's still very much white male.
Hmm.
And so sometimes he says something and I just want to slap him so fucking hard, but I'm kind of understanding why she wanted me to read it.
Hmm.
And it's because he is saying things how he completely feels without apologizing or quantifying.
Oh, that makes a lot of sense then.
And I was having problems with that in my own writing. And I'm reading Diverse Bodies, Diverse Practices, for my own, like, education around the body and the psyche and how our bodies affect certain things. And the last book I'm reading for pleasure, because also so I can use my tarot cards more effectively if I know the story. So it's not so much intellectual. It's I guess it's a little intellectual, but
I was
it's
like, I
not.
feel like your book choices are fairly intellectual. I mean, I also know that
Listen,
you read smut, so it's not like I'm
so much smut. I read so much smut. I love smut so much. There's a smut that I was listening to. I think it's called something the Dark Ink or the Dark Ink Tattoo series or something like that. I gotta look it up on my scribe to see what it is. But I have been listening. My favorite thing is to fucking listen to smut now. Like, okay, it's called the
when
Dark
they
Tattoo series by Casey Alexander.
when they do the voices, it does hit different.
Oh my god. And they have these amazing voice actors in this one, and it's just excellent. Like, I want to see who's reading it. I wish I could see who's reading it. But like,
They don't let you do
it's
that.
no, they do somehow, but I can't find it. But the one I was reading has to do with vampires and werewolves and vampire sex and werewolf sex, and it's just, oh my god, because the vampires, they get their energy not just from drinking blood, but from drinking sex fluids.
Oh, it's one of those. Yeah, I just read one like that too.
Yeah.
Um, it's life force, baby.
Yeah, yeah, basically, it's like great sex can feed them, so he's just in, Vegas having amazing sex with all these different people, and there's a sex scene each chapter, which kind of actually got a little bit much for me. I'm like, I wanna know what's going on in the story. I don't just wanna know where his dick is going, but then his dick went into this really hot dude, and I cared about that. So
I love you so much. Please tell me more about it. I'm very intrigued.
oh, it was there is one place where I get like if you get through the first book got me in because there was like consent there, there was like it was LGBTQ, like there was pretty much the sex scenes were like amazing. The story was at a good pace, but then you get to the second book where they talk about their origins, and there was just trauma in the second book. Like just like it was I guess it was too real for me. It was like how
Mm,
you can
hmm.
get trapped in a relationship. Basically, how you like for the main girl character, it was like you got digmatized. And what happens when we get digmatized and what happens when we deal with very a lot of toxic masculinity, what we have when we deal with power imbalance and stuff like that. So the second book, I would definitely have a trigger warning on it, because it was rough. There was a lot of non-consensual stuff, with the main characters, like two scenes in particular where it was non-consensual, and that was really, really like hard to read. But I also think the writer did it with such an awareness that it was like, okay, all right, like I see what you're doing. I see why you're doing it. I see how these characters are set up that they wouldn't choose these things for their life. Like they got thrown into these situations. But then we get out of the second book and we get to the third book and the fourth book and the fifth book, and it's just like, chef's kiss.
You're like,
Like,
just ignore the second one. Just skip the second one. Go to the third one.
you notice you don't need the second one. I can give you the cliff notes on the second one if you need it, if you want it. But
Because
like, just
honestly,
skip.
I think I will go that way because I'm like non-con is kind of a non-starter for me if it's
Mhm.
like really serious non-con. Um,
Yeah, it was. It wasn't. It was. It was very like. It was very. If I haven't had done as much work as I've done around my own sexual healing, it would have
mhm,
been very triggering. I would have had to step away from the entire series. I did fast forward through some of those parts, but I understand the gist of what happened, and
mhm,
I don't necessarily agree with the choices to be as explicit. Like there was less explicitness with the male character as there was with the female character.
mhm.
And I'm kind of like, oh, that was a choice you made.
Yeah, yeah,
To lay more trauma on the female character, and I hate when that happens. Like I hated when that happened in Game of Thrones to what's her nuts. Like that didn't even happen. She wasn't even raped in the book. Like we used the R word just then. I'm sorry, you guys, but she wasn't assaulted in the book, and then for the show, for her to be assaulted. I'm trying to remember her character's
yeah.
name because there were so many fucking characters.
It was, I believe, Sansa that happened to.
You're right. You're right. They
Yeah,
had to put
that's why,
this
like,
whole thing of
literally, I will not read. Like, the books are of no interest to me. Like, it's not necessarily that I just I like dark fantasy sometimes, and like I read Wheel of Time, I read horror nonstop. But like when it comes to things where it is like I do not like it. Like even Stephen King goes into that area a bit too much for
yeah.
me.
Yeah.
and he does it well in a very disturbing way. But at the same time, like there are certain stories I will never read again because I can't deal with that. And in things like smut, like the books that you're talking about, certain things like some coercion I can deal with and be okay with. But like whenever there's like a hard no and things continue, I just it
Yeah.
I can't with it.
Yeah, and that's what happened with the female character in this series. There was a hard no, and in the guys, the one who got turned into a vampire, he didn't give a hard no, but the only reason he couldn't give a hard no was because he was fucking unconscious. Like,
Oh yeah, that's not okay.
yeah, that's a problem. So the second book, I wasn't really expecting that, and I was like, mm. So then I had to go back on this thread that I had started where it was like, I didn't know I was into werewolf and vampire smut, but here we are. And I had recommended it because it was so queer and so consensual and stuff like that. And I had to go back on there and say the second book is not that way.
Yeah.
Um, but I kept going with the book because I'm like, where is this all going? And I read the 3rd, the 4th, and the 5th. I didn't read them audiobooks. You want to hear them make the voices.
Fine,
The
I'll get them audiobooks. You're very convincing. It's a problem. Please
It
stop.
was amazing. So um those were wonderful and incredible, and there was so much more. There was definitely back to the consent, definitely back to the queerness, definitely back to like all these things that were just lovely. Empowerment. We have strong female characters making choices. Again, that I love that. And so yeah, so 3rd, 4th, and 5th book. I think there's a 6th book that's coming out, or it's already come out, but like it isn't an audiobook yet.
Hmm. So you're gonna
And
wait.
I'm gonna wait for the fucking audiobook. I'm gonna wait for the audiobook. But I will say that I've been listening to these audiobooks while I've been falling asleep, and one night I fell asleep while listening to one of the books, and I had this dream where I was in a corporate office and this thing was still playing so loud and I couldn't escape it. And I thought everybody around me could hear it, which was very stressful. And we reached a scene where one of the characters was climaxing and it was really hot. So I was getting off on it. And my boss is trying to talk to me. And I'm sitting on my phone because that's where I think it's coming from, even though I could hear it in my ear. And like the vibrations of his voice through my seat is coming up into my pants. And like I totally came awake. Um, but it was a but it was a
you
it
you
was,
woke yourself up coming. That is
yeah,
classic. I
it was a smutty stress dream.
Yeah, so the last time that I fell asleep listening to something, I make sure to put it on a timer because if I don't, that kind of thing will happen. And the last thing I was listening to was Horns by Joe
Oh my
Hill.
god. Mhm.
And I had some great visuals with that, but it was definitely not something I would have wanted to sleep all night with. I'm just putting that out there.
Horned, Joe Hill. Did they make that into the movie with Daniel
They
Radcliffe in it?
did, yes, correct.
Ooh, you fell asleep to that?
Look, I horror in general does not, but oh my god, though, last night I watched like this TikTok or something before I went to bed and I woke up angry because god, what was it? Like so um my partner, he woke me up because he thought I had stolen a pillow. And he was complaining about his pillow being gone, but like I had literally like I had integrated him telling me about the pillow into my dream, but in
Mhm.
my dream I was sitting in front of a window and there was a creature outside talking to me, and then it reached into the
Mm.
window to
Mm-mm.
pull me out of
Mm.
the window,
Nope.
and so I
Nope.
woke up like, no. I am angry that you are talking to me in this. And I'm like, you don't have really, really long white arms and a face with no eyes and a mouth that's just teeth on teeth on teeth. But I am
What?
scared right now and I do not need this. I'm going back to sleep. Yeah, I woke up in a rage about it because well, okay, look, um, that was a normal kind of nightmare. That wasn't like the kind that actually scares me, but I kind of, my heart rate was
A
going a little
normal
bit.
nightmare.
That was a normal nightmare. Like the bad ones are the ones where it's like a natural disaster and I can't stop it. Like at least this one was just a creature. Creatures I could run away from. It's fine. I don't mind creature dreams at all.
I can't handle it. I think I haven't been remembering my dreams as much as I could have, so I think I'm gonna do some rituals around, dream and dream walking and dream magic because I wake up feeling like I've done something, but I can't remember what it was. And I definitely do believe that I've been traveling in my dreams. And what I hate when I travel in my dreams is if I travel to a place where I'm working,
Mm-hmm.
like if I travel somewhere and I have an actual fucking job. I hate that shit. So I want to find out if I'm like putting in work on another realm or not. Because
Oh,
if I
you
am, then I
are.
need to quit my
I
job and
I
go
I I
flying.
I know because I have been doing so as well, and
Mhm.
then waking up exhausted because of working too
Yes.
hard. And
Yes.
that you got to take a break. You got to make sure you're taking a break. you get you get don't go into workers comp in the other dimension.
Because that's problematic. As problematic as the mangas we've been talking about today.
Yes, yes. I will say like yes. I am still like I'm only at I want to say 130, 140 in chapter wise for Hana Yori Dango. So I still have
Okay,
like 100
you're like
chapters left that I need to
you're
read.
over halfway.
I'm over halfway, but at the same time I'm having worse anxiety because this is the point where I stop remembering the story because the anime did not go this far. The anime literally went up to her basically kicking Tsukushi out, and then Tsukushi is by herself for a bunch. And then all of a sudden, they're on a goddamn boat, and Domyoji's getting married to, to Sekura. And then she's just like, oh, Tsukushi's here. Peace. I'm on a little boat by myself now. Bye. And then they get married on the boat with Kaeda yelling at them. And that's the end of the anime. And I'm like, this is not how the manga is going to end. I know that 100% because it literally
No,
makes no sense.
no,
I don't know why
it's
they did
not
this.
it's not how the manga ends at all. There is another boat sequence that you're gonna get, but that's not how the manga ends. And I will say that everyone stays true to their character in the
I'm
end.
happy about that, but also I remember the K drama ending, which was a non ending ending. And if that happens again, I swear to God, I'm throwing like my entire self away.
What happened in the K drama? And I
In the
can't
K
remember.
drama, they're just like at a camp doing doctor stuff. Do you remember that?
Oh, I erased that from my mind. She said she wanted to become a doctor or something,
Yes,
and it
like
ended up with
for no reason. She's just like, I'm a doctor now. And like
and
the
everybody's like, "You're gonna suck at that because you're bad at school. How are you gonna become a doctor?"
and she's
And
like,
she
I don't
becomes
give a shit. And like, so I will say that I hope what happened in the anime is similar to what happens in the manga in terms of the character of Rui, because I really, really like the character Rui. And in the K drama, he just ends up pining for her forever and like never gets his own thing. But in the anime version, they just ended up really, really good friends. And I really liked their dynamic together. And even though, yes, he's the better man, but when you have like a bunch of really
he's
rich,
so much the
trashy
better
men,
man. Yes.
it's not really a competition. I mean, like
No.
Kazuya is probably the only one who actually cared about her if we really think about it, but at the
Mhm.
same time, Like all of the other boys were just rich and used
Yeah.
her as an amusement, essentially. Even
Yeah, that's
Rui,
true.
he was not an exception. The only
I
one,
think
actually, no, not Kazuya.
in
Kinsan. Oh,
Vincent.
Kinsan.
Oh, he was
He,
good. He was good.
yeah.
I think she wasn't I think as you read through the manga, you'll see how she wasn't just a distraction for Rui.
Okay.
Just keep reading. You'll see how it's like anytime Rui comes into the situation, you're just like, bitch, why couldn't you choose it? Why you just stick with that ship? Why'd you have to jump ship and switch ship? You know,
Because
why
he
didn't you
wasn't
just
in love
ride
with
that into the
her. He was
sunset?
in love with Shizuka. He was in love
I
with
know he
Shizuka
was in
the
love with
entire
Shizuka.
time.
I think when you read the manga, you'll be like, "Oh, okay." You'll have like some feelings about it. The manga was really good at handling their relationship. And yeah, but I just ship who I ship. Like seriously, like with
And
Avatar: The Last
honestly,
Airbender.
everybody's the same. You got your ships, you want them sailed, but sometimes they are not canon. That is
Mhm.
just how that
They are
works.
not canon. They are not
It
canon. They are not so I write fan fiction so I could have it in my
Yeah,
world.
that's true. That's true. I will say most of the time I am shipping what is canon, and when I'm not shipping what is canon, you can I feel like it's super obvious even though if it's not canon. And the one hill I will die on is Naruto and Sasuke. They they were meant to be together very honestly, because you literally do not lose your shit and have a giant fight because he's leaving and then like drop everything and follow that boy to the ends of the earth. Like,
Mhm.
I mean, yeah, they're besties,
Mhm.
but like in
Mhm.
that fight, I swear to God, they should have just kissed and it would have solved everything. Like, and I'm not
Oh.
I'm not one who's like who will automatic like I don't only ship gay, though I do often ship gay because there
Mhm.
are excellent gay ships out there. But this one I'm like I will die on that hill. That
Mhm.
and I read somewhere that like the author had originally intended them to be like that, and I'm like that explains all the tension.
Explains a lot.
It explains a lot of how that plot goes, to be
Mhm.
honest. Because like in the end, yeah, Naruto ends up with Hinata and Sasuke ends up with Sakura. And I'm not one of those Sakura haters. Like I
Mhm.
she's a little annoying. Like I don't like her personality that much, but she's super strong. Like everybody
Mhm.
saying like she's like a weakling or whatever is an idiot because she's like hella strong. No,
Mhm.
I like so I but her obsession with Sasuke does weaken her, I feel like.
Yeah.
Um but yeah, like even when they're together and like even in Boruto, like you're looking at Boruto and they have full ass families on their own, but like you're still seeing that like they're seeking each other out first before their
Mhm.
spouses for literally
Mhm.
everything. And I'm like,
Mhm.
okay, okay.
Yo, I feel like that's how they solved the tension in the reboot of Shira.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Catherine
I think they
Shira
did that
just was
right.
like they did
Well,
they did that so right. I loved it so much.
like if you watch the original show of Shira, it's like ridiculously gay. It is like
Mhm.
one of the gayest things I've ever seen. Both Shira
Mhm.
and He-Man, full gay all over the place.
Yep.
So, like, we're like literally watching it in high school. Like, we went and rented videos of Shira because I'm like, I was obsessed with this as a kid. And we're watching it and we're like, there's some unnecessary crotch shots in here. And Bo's gay, right? Bo's totally gay. And everybody's like, yeah, it's super obvious.
Yep.
So yeah, I'm glad
Mhm.
that they actually went that way in the reboot.
It
I'm very
was it
happy.
was beautiful. It was beautiful. I'm gonna have to watch it again. She-Ra is again one of those that I started watching and then stopped watching because of anxiety.
Mm-hmm.
Because
Yeah.
it gets intense at a point. It gets intense at a point. Your girl's mom dies. Sparkles, I forget her character's name. I just call her Sparkles. I'm bad with names, so if you're following this and you're like, we're gonna put spoiler warnings because
We should. We've been talking about some
we're
stuff.
gonna have to put some spoiler warnings on stuff. But like, not Fluttershy. That's
That is a completely
My Little
different
Pony.
show. I mean, same genre at least.
Sparkle Poof. That's what I'm gonna refer to as. She has a name. I can't remember what it is, and I'm not gonna look it up right now. But when her mom like died or sacrificed herself, I was like, "Oh, fuck, put it down. I'm never watching this again." And it took me like a year and a half before I was actually able to finish it. But I highly recommend the reboot of Shira. It's super cute, it's super queer, and I kind of sort of love it so
Are you
much.
talking about Glimmer?
Glimmer!
Oh, that's great. Okay.
That's literally what she did. She would sparkle and then she would poof.
Well, I mean, most of them are named after their actual jobs.
Mhm.
So there's even there's even someone named Castaspella.
Yes. Castaspella.
Yes,
Yes. Oh, there
great.
were so many like queer couples in that show too. Cause I think Castaspella and I don't know why I want to call her Spinderella. Salt, Pepper, and Spinderella.
Spinnerella,
Um,
yeah.
but yeah, there's so many like queer couples and everything, and it's not even seen as something that's unusual or out of the norm or commentary. Like no one ever brings it up. Like your boy has two dads, and his beef with having his fathers is not that he has two dads. Like they expect him to become some kind of librarian or something, and he's like, I'm a warrior. I'm a tech archer. I don't want to be like a librarian or an architect or a researcher or whatever. And the only reason he didn't want his friends to meet his dads was not because he had two dads, but because he didn't want to have to hold up a lie that he wasn't going to like librarian school or some shit like
Oh,
that.
yeah. That's awesome.
It was very cute. It was very cute. So like I guess that's it for today. We've been like it's almost an hour and a half of talking about mostly problematic shit. Which this episode was gonna be called Tarot and Hana Yori Dango. Did I pronounce that right?
Hana Yori Dango, yeah, that's right.
Mhm. But instead, I'm just gonna call it problematic shit and honey or dango or something. We have to figure out a name for this
Yeah, we
for
ended
this
up kind of
inaugural episode.
we ended up just kind of rambling about stuff, which is what we do together. So that's probably how most of
It's
these are going to
fine.
go.
Someone's gonna find it soothing.
Yeah, and I don't necessarily need a structure for this. We're gonna have fun either way.
Yeah. All right, friend. This is us. I am Rawiyah Tariq,
And I am Cartabus.
and we're gonna be coming at you again soon with more witch shit and manga lit and anything that inspires us. Mostly is probably going to be something geeky or some book that we read. So yeah, tune in next time. I have no idea what the fuck we're going to be talking about. We're going to be talking about something very, very passionately.
Yes, yeah, I want to start doing lists of things, and then we can
Mm-hmm.
talk about. I want to talk about
All right, cool.
ridiculous stuff next because we talked
Ooh.
about the problematic stuff this time. Next time, I just want straight up fuck shittery.
All
But
right,
like
cool.
not necessarily in a I'm going to have trauma because of this way, but in a I can't believe I just watched this kind of way.
Oh my god. Send me some of that stuff cuz I stumble across stuff like I stumbled across Food Wars.
Oh, I love Food Wars. No, I'll send you my top 5 to make sure you watch them before next time. You've seen a few of them. So, in fact, you're watching one currently.
Yes, I'll finish up watching that one so we can talk about it.
But yeah, that one's in my top five just because I literally choked at episode 8 and 9 and almost died because of
Alright.
laughing too hard. So
Alright, I'm gonna watch those. I'm gonna watch those. I think I'm just on episode 3, so I will finish watching that. I might finish watching that today. I might get high and just watch that.
um you know what? Yeah, go ahead and do that and tell me what you think. I would not watch it high because it is already
High inducing.
it's the musical parts. It's the musical parts that get me because it's a fucking musical.
My
You'll
brain had trouble absorbing because I wanna watch everything that's happening, but also I wanna read it in time to them singing.
yeah, I had to like rewind the song parts a lot because like my brain just went on vacation nearly every time that they broke
Mhm.
into song. Just like a break from this fuck shittery.
Mhm.
Ding.
Yeah, yeah, my brain is just like, "What is happening?" And it turns off and it's blank during those sequences, and so I will rewind because 'cause I'm like, I'm reading the lyrics, I'm looking at what's happening in the background, but I can't do both at the same time. Where when they're not singing, I'm fine with it, I can follow, but as soon as they start singing, I'm like, "Wait, what? What is happening? What is going on?" And it's
Yes,
amazing.
that is correct. That is the correct way to be for this show. Uh, I appreciate that you'll watch the ridiculous things I recommend sometimes.
Oh my god, I love
But
it.
again, it's one of those things where like I don't recommend this because it is terrible, but it is so entertaining. Please watch it anyway.
I will. I need something to balance out Queer and Loathing. So yeah, I will totally.
Yeah, the next one I'm going to send you, which is my number one, is on. No, wait, I want you to watch this other one too. Which one do I want you to watch?
Send it to me. Look, send it to me. I have time right now because I just finished sending in the second draft of my book, Mammy is Dead. So I have some time before I have to go back into the second round edits.
Mhm.
So I have time right now. I'm just doing my workshops. Oh, I have a workshop coming up on the 9th. I should promote that.
Yes, promote it.
I think it's the one about fear. So I think it's in the face of fear. And I should really promote this on my page or push it back to another time. Actually, I think I'm going to push it back to another month because I can do that. Um my next workshop that's going to be available is going to be happening in May, and that's going to be regarding the mother wound. And that workshop is called um a self for children of toxic mothers, a self exorcism for Mother's Day. So that's gonna be
Oh, that one. Yeah.
yeah,
So, for anyone who does not know, Rawiyah runs a bunch of witchy workshops and they are amazing. So, if you're interested in that sort of thing, definitely check it out. Sign up, get on this. You want to.
yeah. Come to my workshops, get some healing, get some of this good. And you can find my workshops at a sovereign embodiment.org. A sovereign embodiment.org is where you can find workshops and more information about me. You can also follow me on Instagram at Mammy is Dead and Twitter at Mammy is Dead and on Facebook as Rawiyah Tariq. And Cartabus, where can people like find you or are you still setting that up?
I am still
It sounded
setting
like
it
a
up.
Virgo judgment. I didn't mean
That
to.
that that did that did. I am sad now. I'm
I'm
kidding.
sorry.
I am not on anything. I have nothing to promote currently. But
Okay.
I am just enjoying spending time with you. I might start making more TikToks, um, but I haven't decided on that yet.
Can you teach me TikTok? Like, can we just have a phone call one day about TikTok? Because I feel like I don't get it. I want to get it and I don't get it. And and I would like to get it because I need to use it to promote shit.
Yeah, I think you get it, but I think yeah, what you said, you don't quite get it because the thing about putting it out there is you don't just want it for your promotional materials. You want to talk about literally everything on there because you are
Okay.
interesting and you are the product. So
Oh.
once you have that as kind of more of an idea, it's going
Mhm.
to be easier to put out content. Like you have to decide what kind of content you want to do. Do you want
Mm.
to only do your promotional stuff? Do you want to do, let's put on makeup and talk about social justice? Do you want to do, what kind of content do you want to make? Because there are tons of different types of ways to make content. It's not just a one shop, stop shop for whatever. Like I follow cosplayers, I follow social justice people, I follow anime creators, I follow K-pop people, I follow like
Mhm.
everybody, and they all create different content. It kind of
Okay.
depends on what your focus is going to be. So I think once you figure out how you want to focus your energy, it's going to be much easier to figure out what
Mhm.
type of content you actually want to put out there.
Okay, senpai, I am gonna set up a session
Oh, I like
with
that too
with
much.
you.
I like that too much. Call me senpai
Senpai,
again.
senpai. Notice me, senpai. That's my favorite. So yeah, so I'm gonna I'm gonna need to book a consulting session with you to get me all the way fucking together around TikTok because I feel like it's the missing piece. And also it'd be really good to use it kind of like in a journal way in the way I'm using
Hmm.
Instagram.
Yes,
So
definitely.
that way I won't forget what's happened in my life because as a result of having a narcissistic mother and a lot of trauma, I don't remember things. Like my memory is shit.
Hmm.
And I want to remember the good things and not just sometimes I forget the bad things too, but I forget everything. So it would be really great to be able to have an audio visual memory imprint that I
Hmm.
can go back to. So yeah.
And the
So
other
yeah,
thing
I'm
is
gonna
once we have this kind of thing going more, we could start doing things like lives where we do like tarot
Mhm.
readings live
Oh
and
my
other
god.
kinds
I'm
of
gonna stop
readings.
recording, you guys. I'm gonna stop recording. Cause we don't no, no, let's keep going because we could tell them what we're gonna do like in the scheme of things. I think it would be great to do lives. I think it would be great to do live tarot readings. What
Yeah,
else?
I think that'd be super fun. Any other kinds of readings too, because I can do runes and I can read auras, but it's that the weird tasting thing that I do, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, I know the weird
I
tasting
don't
thing.
like doing it all the time because some people taste bad, but it sounds funny, but it's really scarily accurate. So
No, I believe you. I do my readings by I don't get a taste, but I get a smell. And so it does need me to be in proximity to whoever I'm doing it for. I don't have that talent like you have to do it like long distance. I have to be in front of the person and literally sniff them and smelling them will give me a story.
are you serious?
Yeah.
That's awesome. I remember
Yeah.
one time when we hugged, you told me I smelled like lavender, which really threw me off because I hadn't worn any lavender for like weeks. So I was like,
Mhm.
"What? What are you talking about?" Was
Yeah.
that maybe that?
Yeah, it was probably that. Cuz I have a really bad nose. Like I normally can't smell a fucking thing. Like if my it takes a long time for smells to reach my nose. Like my roommate could be cooking something fucking delicious and I will not smell it until I get right up on it. Then I'm like, that smells great. But for the most part, I can't smell, but I get spirit smells. Like one time I was working on a client and I kept smelling cigars. And I know she didn't smoke, but I kept smelling cigars and then there was a
Hmm.
smell like birthday cake candles being burned out, being blown out. And I said, "Hey, hey girl, this may sound a little bit weird, but I'm smelling cigar smoke around us and also the smell of birthday candles being blown out. And I'm also getting the vision of a brown armchair. And she said, and she started crying because that day was
Oh.
her father's birthday and he died. His chair caught on fire while he was smoking and asleep.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So he died from smoke inhalation, or something like that. Like the chair caught on fire somehow and he didn't make it through. I don't know exactly all of the details about it, but he smoked cigars and it was his birthday and I saw the chair, but I mostly smelled the cigar smoke in the candles. She was like, "Yeah, it's my dad's birthday and he's dead and he smoked cigars." And I was like, "I am so sorry. I did not mean to bring this up during session, but I had a real strong
Yeah.
imprint of stuff coming through." So when spirit comes through to me, it always comes with a smell, which is why I know when someone's tossed something at me, when someone's thrown at me, because I will literally smell like my ass is shitty. It'll be like a shit cloud around me. And I'll keep like washing my butt and washing my body, and I'll still smell shitty. And then I'll do a reversal
Mhm. And the
and it'll
smell
be
ends.
gone. Smell's gone.
Wow. Yeah. And that's why like I don't do my reading on everyone. Like I have to turn it off. I have to literally turn it back on because if I just wandered around in public randomly licking people, it would drive me absolutely up a wall. And
Yeah.
and I have rules around who I will read because I will not read
Mhm.
anyone under the age of 25. And the reason for that is because the taste is going to be awful. Here's why. You're
Mm.
not fully baked as a person, and if you're not fully baked as a person, you're just throwing a bunch of shit out there trying to figure out who
Mhm.
you are. So like the last like I read this kid once, he was like 19 and he literally tasted like raw steak with like Skittles and barbecue sauce and like just a
Ooh.
bunch of other gross stuff and I'm like, "Bro, no." Never again. He's like, "What does that mean?" I mean, it means you're not done. Figure your shit out first and then come
Yeah, you don't
back.
know if you're a steak or if you're Skittles yet.
And like the thing is like it was all random elements of things, but like things like that steak specifically means violence. So a lot of
Mm.
like younger dudes are going to have meat involved with their flavors because a lot of younger dudes are just kind of violent because they haven't calmed down yet.
They haven't calmed down yet, and they've been socialized as well
Yeah,
into that
exactly.
violence.
So it doesn't necessarily mean this kid that I was talking to was like a super violent person because he wasn't. He just,
Uh-huh.
I mean, he really liked metal, but beyond that, beyond that, it's not like he's a really violent person. But
Yes.
he just wasn't done. So everything was like
Yeah.
raw and gross and thrown together into like a pile instead of
Mhm.
being like an actual meal. Most people are a meal or at least
Mhm.
a course, if that makes sense.
Mhm.
Like
Yes.
people who are breakfast tend to be morning people. People who are like a hearty type of meal tend to be a bit deeper, I find. People who have
Mhm.
beverages involved are in the process of changing. Like it's very interesting how I've been able to interpret what people's flavors are based on how it my assumption about them works. But like even people I've never met before that like I only knew
Mhm.
online for like a little bit, once I read
Mhm.
them, they're like, that is weirdly accurate. And I'll also get like meals related to either people they're related to or like their cultural background without me knowing what their cultural background is. Like one of my friends, when I read them, they had like some kind of Swedish breakfast, and I didn't even know they were Swedish.
Oh,
But
wow.
yeah, so like, and a lot of it's stuff that I've never tasted before. I just have to like describe it, and then like we figure out what it is based on the description.
Yeah, we figured out what mine was. It's been a while, so I'm not sure if I remember it, but
It
I
was a
think it was
kind of
something.
stew.
It
Yeah.
was like I think it was peanut stew.
Yes, yes, that's what it was. But with
Yeah.
but
with a
with
goat meat
lamb.
or some kind of
Yeah.
meat. Yeah,
No,
lamb.
I was telling you it's normally with goat meat, but it was with lamb for you because of
Mhm.
some other stuff.
Yeah. 'Cause I'm just a little lamb lost in the woods.
I think what I told you was that you needed to be more stubborn about your own self care.
That makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. I'm not the best with self-care. Maybe that's what we'll talk about next week. We'll talk about our top lists, and then we'll talk about, self-care as well.
Yeah, let's do that. Because honestly, for me, watching ridiculous shit is self care. So
Mhm, mhm,
that will tie in perfectly. This week was all trauma.
and
We're
this
starting out at like the trauma space.
and then we're gonna step it down a few
We're
notches. Then we're
gonna
gonna
move
step it
back.
down a
We're
few
gonna move
notches.
back. It's
Yeah,
gonna be fine.
it's gonna be yeah, so you got an introduction, like, you went balls deep right at the start, and now we're gonna just back up off it a little bit, let it
Gonna
ease
be
on in.
gentle. So aftercare, aftercare.
Yeah, aftercare, aftercare. Aftercare and safe words. So yeah, so again, I'm Rawiyah Tariq,
I am Cartabus.
and we'll be coming at you again soon. Gently, we'll be coming at you gently.
We'll be more gentle next time.
Yeah. Bye, y'all.
Bye.